Doctor's warning. 5 silent signs of heart disease seniors over 70 must not ignore. Have you ever felt perfectly fine 1 minute, and then out of nowhere you're short of breath just walking to the kitchen? Or maybe you've been feeling more tired than usual lately, but you can't quite explain why. You tell yourself, I'm just getting older. Or, I didn't sleep well. But here's the thing. What if those little changes are your heart trying to tell you something before it's too late? Please don't scroll past this. Because the truth is, millions of older adults just like you are living with silent heart disease and have no idea until something serious happens. I'm here to help make sure that doesn't happen to you. Today, I want to talk to you not to scare you, but to help you catch the warning signs early, when something can still be done. This video could save your life or someone you love. And all it takes is a few minutes of your time and a willingness to listen to your body in a new way. Now, let's talk about what we're really dealing with here. Silent heart disease isn't the kind that comes with a dramatic collapse, sirens, or someone clutching their chest like you see in the movies. It's sneaky. It builds slowly. It gives off little hints, whispers really, that something isn't quite right. And if you're over 60, those whispers are even easier to miss because they often blend in with what we think is just aging. But aging doesn't mean giving up your energy. It doesn't mean living in fear. And it certainly doesn't mean ignoring your health. Because when you know what to look for, you can take small, simple steps that make a huge difference. Not just in how long you live, but how well you live. So let's jump in. I want to walk you through 5 warning signs of silent heart disease that you need to know, especially if you're over 60. We're going to talk about what they feel like, how they show up in everyday life, and most importantly, what you can do if you notice them. Let's start with a big one: fatigue. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Of course I'm tired. I'm not 25 anymore, and that's fair. But I'm not talking about normal tired. I'm talking about a kind of tired that feels different. The kind that sticks around even after a good night's sleep. The kind that makes you sit down to catch your breath halfway through folding laundry, or feel like you need a nap after taking a shower. One woman told me she used to walk her dog every morning without a problem. Then slowly, over a few months, she noticed she was stopping more often. She'd come home exhausted and thought maybe it was just stress or the weather. But her doctor found something very different. Her heart wasn't pumping efficiently, and her body wasn't getting enough oxygen. That tiredness wasn't laziness. It was a warning sign. When your heart can't keep up with the demand, your body feels it in every cell. You may not even realize it's happening. It doesn't always hurt. It doesn't always feel dramatic. But your body knows. And that constant feeling of, I just don't have the energy I used to, could be your first clue. Now let's talk about another red flag that's easy to brush off: shortness of breath. And I don't mean being out of breath after running a marathon. Although if you're doing that in your 70s, more power to you. I mean getting winded while doing basic things. Climbing a few stairs. Making the bed. Having a conversation while walking through the grocery store. When your heart isn't delivering oxygen the way it should, your lungs step in and try to do the job. That's when you start breathing faster, or feeling like you just can't quite get enough air. And here's the scary part: a lot of people get used to it. They slow down. They move less. They think, this is just what getting older feels like. But it's not. It's your heart waving a little flag and saying, hey, I need some help here. One gentleman I spoke with said he started sitting down to put on his socks because bending over made him feel winded. He thought it was just stiffness or being out of shape. Turned out, he had a blockage that was cutting off blood supply to part of his heart. He got treatment, and within weeks he had his energy back. That's what's possible when you catch it early. There's something else you need to keep an eye out for, and this one often goes unnoticed: subtle chest discomfort. And notice I said discomfort, not pain, because it's not always that crushing, dramatic chest pain people expect. Sometimes it's a tightness, a pressure, a dull ache. Could feel like someone sitting lightly on your chest, or like a squeezing that comes and goes. Some people feel it in their upper back. Some feel it in their jaw or down their left arm. And women, this is especially true for us, it might not feel like anything in the chest at all. It might just feel like you're off, or like you have heartburn that won't go away. These are real signs, and they matter. Your heart is your engine. And just like in a car, when something isn't working right, you might hear strange sounds, feel a little shaking, or notice it's not running as smoothly. Don't ignore those signs. Don't let your body's quiet signals turn into an emergency. I know it can feel overwhelming. It might even feel scary. But here's what I want you to remember. You are not powerless. You can take charge of your health at any age. And the fact that you're here watching this video means you care about your well-being. That's the most important step of all. So now that we've talked about fatigue, shortness of breath, and that subtle chest discomfort, let's keep going. Because there are still a couple more signs that many people miss, but you won't, not anymore. Now, we've already covered 3 of the most common signs that something might not be quite right with your heart. That deep, nagging fatigue that doesn't seem to go away, shortness of breath from everyday tasks, and that vague discomfort in your chest or upper body that just doesn't feel normal. But there's another signal your body might be sending, one that shows up in a very different way. And that's swelling, particularly in your legs, ankles, and feet. Now, I know a lot of folks over 60 deal with swelling from time to time. Maybe you've been sitting too long, maybe you had a salty meal the night before, or maybe your circulation just isn't what it used to be. But here's what makes heart-related swelling different. It's persistent. It often shows up at the end of the day, or after you've been on your feet for a while. Your socks might leave deep impressions in your ankles, or your shoes might start feeling tighter, even though your weight hasn't changed. Some people even notice their rings feel snug in the mornings, or their belly feels bloated for no reason. This kind of swelling is your body's way of saying that blood and fluid aren't moving properly. When the heart isn't pumping efficiently, especially the right side, it can cause blood to back up in the veins, which pushes fluid into the tissues. That's why your feet and ankles might puff up. It's not just uncomfortable. It's your heart asking for attention. One man I met in Florida told me his ankles were swelling every night, and he thought it was just the heat. After all, he lived near the beach, wore flip-flops most days, and stayed pretty active. But his doctor eventually discovered that his heart was working too hard trying to push blood through stiff, narrow vessels. With just a few changes, some light medication, better hydration, and walking a little more during the day, his swelling went down and he said he felt 10 years lighter. That's what's so important to remember here. These signs don't always mean something is seriously wrong, but they do mean something deserves a closer look. Your body is smart. It's not just reacting randomly. When you notice these changes, especially when more than one happens at the same time, it's your body waving a flag and saying, "Please don't ignore me." Now, there's one last warning sign I want to talk about, and this one can be easy to overlook, especially because it doesn't always feel physical. I'm talking about irregular heartbeat, what some people call fluttering, racing, or skipping beats. You might notice it when you're sitting quietly watching TV, or when you're lying in bed and suddenly feel your heart doing something strange. Maybe it speeds up for no reason, or maybe it feels like it skips a beat, or flutters like a bird in your chest. Sometimes this can be harmless, but when it happens often, especially along with fatigue or dizziness, it could be a sign of atrial fibrillation or AFib. That's a type of irregular heartbeat that increases your risk of blood clots, strokes, and yes, heart failure. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who thought this was just stress or just nerves. They felt their heart flutter or pound, maybe for a few seconds, and then it went away. But that little flutter? That could be the clue that helps catch something serious before it turns dangerous. One woman shared her story about feeling a strange flutter in her chest every time she drank a cup of coffee. She laughed it off for years, until one day she fainted at the grocery store. Turned out, her heart rhythm was way off, and it had been for a long time. But because she paid attention and got checked out, she was able to get the help she needed. And now, she's back to her morning coffee, her yoga class, and living her life without fear. That's what I want for you, too. Not fear, not worry, but awareness, confidence, the kind of peace of mind that comes from knowing what your body is telling you and trusting yourself enough to act on it. I know some of this can feel heavy. No one wants to sit around thinking about heart disease. But think of it this way: knowledge is power and early action is freedom. The sooner you know what's going on inside your body, the sooner you can do something about it. And often it's the little things like walking a few extra minutes a day, drinking more water, or getting a simple heart scan that make the biggest difference. And let me say this, too. Don't let anyone, not even yourself, brush off what you're feeling. You know your body better than anyone. If something feels off, it probably is. If you've been feeling more tired, more breathless, more swollen, or just not quite yourself lately, don't write it off. Don't let embarrassment or fear keep you from getting answers. Because heart disease may be silent, but you don't have to be. You can speak up. You can ask your doctor the hard questions. You can demand better for your health and your future. And if you're watching this and thinking, I don't have any of these signs, but I still want to protect my heart, that's wonderful. Prevention is just as powerful as treatment. Staying active, managing stress, eating heart-healthy foods, and simply paying attention to how you feel each day can all add up to a stronger, healthier heart over time. So whether you're already noticing some of these signs, or you're just here because you care about your health, I want to thank you. Because the fact that you're still watching, still listening, still learning, that says something about you. Says you're strong, you're proactive, and you care enough to take control of your health one step at a time. Now, we've walked through 5 of the most common signs of silent heart disease that affect seniors, but we're not done yet. Because just knowing the signs is only half the battle. What matters most is what you do about them. You've stuck with me this far, and I want you to take a deep breath because you're already doing the most powerful thing you can do for your health. You're paying attention. Now that you know what silent heart disease might look like, those quiet signs like unusual fatigue, breathlessness, swelling in your legs and feet, subtle chest discomfort, and irregular heartbeat, it's time we talk about what to do next. Because information is only helpful when you use it. And I promise you, no matter your age, no matter where you're starting from, there are steps you can take right now that can strengthen your heart and improve your quality of life. The first step? Don't wait. If you've recognized one or more of these signs in yourself, or in someone you care about, make an appointment with your doctor. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't say, it's probably nothing, or I don't want to be a burden. You are not a burden. You are a person with a body that's trying to protect you. Even if it turns out to be something minor, getting that peace of mind is worth it. And here's a tip. Write things down before your appointment. Make a little note of what you've been feeling, when it started, how often it happens, what you were doing when you noticed it. The more specific you are, the easier it'll be for your doctor to understand what's going on. You're not just guessing, you're giving them clues to help take care of you. Now let's talk about daily habits. Because beyond doctor visits, there are simple things you can do every single day that support heart health in powerful ways. One of the best? Movement. And I'm not talking about running marathons or doing boot camp workouts. I mean gentle, consistent movement that gets your blood flowing. A brisk walk around the block. Dancing in the living room. Gardening, swimming, even just stretching for a few minutes after you wake up. Your heart is a muscle, and like any muscle, it needs to be used to stay strong. If walking even short distances leaves you winded, start with just 5 minutes. Then rest. Then 5 more. Over time, your stamina will grow. And with your doctor's guidance, you can build a movement routine that fits your body and your life. Next, let's talk about food, not dieting, but fueling. Your heart loves foods that are colorful, fresh, and full of nutrients. Think berries, leafy greens, oats, beans, fish like salmon, and heart-healthy fats like olive oil or avocado. These foods help lower inflammation, support good cholesterol, and keep your blood vessels flexible. And just as important as what to eat is what to ease up on. Heavy, salty, processed foods can make your heart work harder. So if you love a good bag of chips, maybe try switching it up with some lightly salted nuts or crunchy roasted chickpeas. It's not about perfection. It's about little swaps that add up over time. Another heart hero? Sleep. When you sleep well, your body repairs. Your heart rate drops, your blood pressure stabilizes, and your stress hormones reset. Aim for 7 to 8 hours a night, and try to keep a regular sleep schedule. If you snore loudly, wake up gasping, or still feel tired in the morning, let your doctor know. It could be a sign of sleep apnea, which is closely linked to heart issues and often goes undiagnosed in seniors. Speaking of stress, let's not forget how much emotional health matters. Ongoing stress, loneliness, and anxiety can take a real toll on the heart. So ask yourself, when was the last time you laughed? When was the last time you felt truly connected to someone? Joy and connection are not luxuries. They're necessities for your heart. Whether it's calling a friend, joining a local class, volunteering, or even just chatting with a neighbor over coffee, those little moments of connection can lift your spirit and support your heart. And don't forget your breathing. Just pausing to take a few deep breaths throughout the day, especially when you feel tense or overwhelmed, can calm your nervous system and bring your heart rate back into balance. Now, let me say something that I hope really sticks with you. It's never too late. I don't care if you're 60, 70, 85, or 95. The human heart has an incredible ability to adapt and improve. I've seen people in their 80s make changes that gave them more energy, better sleep, fewer medications, and most importantly, more confidence to enjoy their lives. You don't have to change everything at once. Just choose one thing to start with. Maybe you drink more water tomorrow. Maybe you walk to the mailbox and back every day for a week. Maybe you book that checkup you've been putting off. One small step can start a whole new chapter in your health. And please share this information with others. You never know who might be walking around right now feeling tired, out of breath, or off balance, thinking it's just old age. You could be the one who helps them catch something early and change the course of their life. Before we finish, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring enough about yourself to keep learning, listening, and growing. It's easy to tune out, to say, what's the point? But you didn't. You chose to stay informed. And that choice right there makes you powerful. If this video spoke to you, if you learned something, or saw yourself in any of these stories, drop a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you, and I bet others would too. Let's create a space where we support each other, where age is something we celebrate, and where taking care of our hearts becomes a daily act of self-respect. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got more helpful, hopeful videos just like this one coming your way. Because aging doesn't have to mean slowing down. It doesn't have to mean fear. It can mean wisdom, strength, freedom, and yes, vibrant, joyful health. Here's to living your best life at any age, and to giving your heart the care it deserves every single day.